Welcome back to another episode of Helos and Homies with my dear friend NickehFilms. How are you, brother?
I'm good, thanks, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm good. So, first podcast?
First one in a long time.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Done
I'm
a couple
excited.
little ones back in the day.
Yeah. So, NickehFilms, growing up, where'd you grow up? Like, what'd you do growing up, and how'd you get into filmmaking?
So I grew up in Richmond, North Richmond.
Yeah.
Out in the Hawkesbury. So it's like kind of, if you don't know where that is, it's like west of Windsor.
Yeah.
And growing up, man, I was a skate park kid.
Yeah.
Which
Next to the pub there? Along the train line?
So that's Clarendon.
Yeah.
So I actually started at North Richmond Skate Park, which is like across from the North Richmond pub.
Yeah.
And then when I was like 12, 13, I started going to Clarendon.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I was into baseball and stuff as a kid, and then and I raced go-karts a little bit. But I kind of fell in love with skateboarding, which pretty much every 90s kid did when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out. So got into skateboarding, and then
Yeah. So when did you what age did you pick up the camera?
I picked up a camera when I was about 12, which was on a family vacation, actually.
Yeah.
My grandparents had a video camera, and I was messing around with that a little bit. And then that, because my birthday's a couple of days after Christmas, I'd always coming from single mum family and stuff, kind of get like one present every year.
Yeah.
Because it was so close together, which that particular year it was a camera that my grandparents bought me. And I would just film myself skateboarding. And I remember the first day I got it, I thought I was so arty. I took a photo of like a water droplet coming out of a tap.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah.
And then,
crazy thing where it led you to, eh?
Yeah. And then this was like before YouTube and stuff was big, and I'd like, I'd go to school and tell my friends, I learnt kickflips.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, bullshit.
So
I'd go home and film myself do a kickflip. Take it to and show them on my camera the next day. And then one day I was like, I'm going to try and put all these videos together, and made myself a little skate video still on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. And then, man, all the boys at school were like, I want a video too. And one thing led to another. So
did you go to school with any of the guys? So we'll take people back. People most probably recognize the name, but they'll try and figure out. Some people will be like, I can't figure out where I know it from. So it was like Scoot, Call the Shots, those boys that were in it. Did you go to school with them?
There was a couple. So like, it's kind of funny, like back, let's say 2007, everyone at school had a scooter. Yeah. Like it was the cool
MGP.
This is way before that. Yeah. So MGP was like end of 2009. It was like 2006, 2007. Everyone had a Blade scooter. Yeah. And they had the Yak wheels and everything. And
Yak was huge.
Yeah. So that was like the cool thing. And then like fast forward like a year or two is when scooters then become lame, because it was like an old thing. And I kind of stuck to it. So I copped a little bit in school about that. But I don't think there wasn't really anyone from my school that kind of came along on that journey with me. But my cousin Josh Newbert. Obviously, we've been
of Scoot fame.
He's kind of like I don't have any siblings, so he was like the closest thing I had to a brother growing up. So we were really tight, and he was there the whole time. So
that's mad. And Cody Donovan, Bart, is it Jay Bart's? Was it?
Yeah, Jackson Bartlett, Cody
Royce King,
Wazza, Chris Hart, all those guys.
I remember Wazza.
So I met them. I remember, because I was actually a genuine fanboy of Cody back in the day. And I remember, I think it was like 2009. I would have been, 14? And I was at Monster. And it was Monster only just started letting scooters in at this point. Yeah. They never used to let them in.
What was it before? Skateboards?
Skate, BMX, rollerblade.
Yeah.
And Cody actually snuck in there a few times with his scooter in his backpack. But, they never actually let him in, and then they started letting him in. And I remember I was at Monster, and I don't know if you ever went there, but there was like the outside ramp and the vert ramp, and there was a walkway in between them. Yeah. And I was walking into the skate park. He was walking out of the skate park. I was like, holy fuck, that's Cody Donovan. Yeah. And I tripped over the railing, and he helped me up. And I was like, fuck, what a first impression. And then, I took some photos for him that night and sent them to him. And I remember he posted them, and I was like fanboying hard. Yeah. And then later that year, Mad Year happened, and the way that kind of happened was Ryan Williams got sponsored, and I'd already knew Ryan Williams, and Billy Rainbow got sponsored.
Yep.
And then they were looking for footage of those two guys, and because I'd recently filmed both of them, they hit me up, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And it was kind of funny. I remember I was 15 because I turned 16 on the first Mad Year trip, and I got this email at school, and this guy's like, oh yeah, we're going to take you to America at the end of the year. I'm like, fuck yeah. Go home, tell my mum, like, yeah, this guy on the internet's taking me to America, and she's like, no.
Yeah, what the fuck?
What? And but yeah, we started organising that trip, and then obviously my friendship with Cody grew, and the owner of Mad Gear was like, I kind of approached him. I'm like, I could probably get Cody on the team. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
I spoke to Cody, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And
yeah, that's mad.
That started like
Yeah, it started.
That was a big wave.
Bro, that was a huge wave, because I remember I genuinely used to look forward to like watching Call the Shots and Scoot and stuff like that. When did the first video pop off? Like, what video was it? That you realised, fuck, we have traction here online.
So I remember I had another channel. I can't even remember what it was called, and I was posting my videos on there.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, everyone's like handle, this is before Instagram and stuff, it was like YouTube and MySpace and all that, was whatever their name was and then whatever they do. So for example, if you were a skater, it would be Falky Skates.
Yeah.
And, you know, scooter riders would have Cody Scoots or whatever. But by this stage, I was still skateboarding. I was never really a scooter rider until like later on in life. But I was a filmer, so I was like, shit, all right, I'll take NickehFilms. And it was taken. And then at school, some friends were calling me Nickeh.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, NickehFilms is taken. I'll just put NickehFilms.
Yeah.
And that's how I got stuck with the name.
Led to.
But so I made NickehFilms, and then I was posting a few videos, and then Cody and I did the July edit. Yeah. Which was Cody, who was that? Cody, Geordie Mac, and Jake Spencer, I think. And that got a little bit of traction. That got like 5,000 views, and I was like, holy shit, like 5,000 people watched my video.
Big back then too.
That was huge back then. And then Cody and I did the MGP edit.
Yep.
And I remember I posted it on all the forums back in the day, and I went to sleep and I woke up and had 10,000 views the next morning. Yeah. Which back then, that was huge. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. What
would you equate that to now? 100,000?
Probably maybe even 500,000.
Yeah.
Like, especially on a scooter video, man. Like, that was like, that like, I remember waking up the next day and going like, that was like the first, because this is before we went to America on that trip. That was the first time I was like, holy shit. Like, and all the comments were positive, and I was like, man,
that's
like,
mad.
This could be something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So after that, like, what was your, because I went back and looked at them. A few of them sit like minimum 300,000, which is crazy. At the time, like, what was it like making that? Because I remember being 2000. I'm born in 2000, so I would have been 13 or 14 in 2014. That's when it really popped off, I reckon.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like recognizing Jammo Skate Park, and I'm recognizing North Richmond and Richmond skate parks and stuff like that. Like, what was it like going to, like, when you went to those skate parks, like, people really want to be a part of it type of thing? And like,
yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. Like, 2014. So by this stage, I'd done a fair bit of traveling. I think I could be wrong here, but I think no. So yeah, 2012 was when I first went to the World Championships. Yeah. So yeah,
where was that? Barcelona?
No, that was in Wales.
Yeah, mad.
That was the biggest week out for me, because we were in London and Wales and Liverpool, and there were like hundreds of kids waiting for us at every skate park, and like being in the other side of the world, and like, I'm just a filmer, mind you, and kids are like asking for my autograph and taking photos of me and stuff. Like, that was crazy for me. But 2014, I'm trying to think. So yeah, that's when everything kind of started popping. Like, I'm pretty sure that's around the time Ryan was with Nitro, like starting to go on Nitro Circus. Yeah. And it was pretty unreal. Like, I never really kind of like understood it, because like, I was just at the skate park making videos with my friends, and then all of a sudden there's millions of people around the world that know more about me than what I do.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
you get to a random skate park somewhere in Sydney and someone would be like, Nickeh, is it true that blah, blah, blah happened? And I'm like, how do you know that? Like, it's crazy, man. I feel like that whole action sports scene was like the first wave of, you know, this culture in Sydney.
110%. I said it with Bomber, I think.
Yeah.
I said, like, you were one of the first. So what we see now is music's astronomical. Like, far whatever, like, you'd know, growing up Western Sydney, they were all too, like, growing up, we didn't think we'd have a music scene. Yeah. And now we've got Kid Leroy, 1-4, like, all these people killing it. But, like, before that, we had the skate park movement, which was, like, massive, and you were, like, pretty incremental in that.
It's kind of crazy. Like, even, you know, We Moved Together, the Wilmot boys have that clothing thing. When I first met with them, one of them's like, bro, I remember you from back in the scooter days. And I was like, that's so, like, it's crazy.
I honestly think
like,
there's kids, like, people from my age, so what, we'll go from 19 to 25, all around the country would know NickehFilms, Jay Bart's,
which is a wig out, man.
King,
like, at the end of the day, like, we never had the intention for that to happen. It was just like we were at the skate park making videos with our friends, and then next thing you know, that
it pops off.
Wave just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So from that, that's the start of NickehFilms in the whole story to where we're at now. So NickehFilms initially starts off skate parks, that type of scene.
Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioned before you travelled to UK.
Yep.
So when did you transition into, like, what you do now, essentially? Like, how did that all come about?
So
going into more like filmmaking, essentially.
I kind of got to a point where I was like 21, 22, and I had all this experience and insane opportunities, but there wasn't a whole lot of money to be made in that particular genre, especially in Australia. So at the end of the day, like, it's not all about money, but at the end of the day, everyone's got to eat, right? So I was like, all right, I need a plan here. Like, scooters isn't going to be a forever thing. I knew that. Well, I mean, it could be, but it wasn't a forever thing for me. Like, I'm not going to be 35 down at the skate park filming my scooter friends full time. So I started exploring options. I really enjoyed teaching. I still do. So I'd hold these camps at Monster Skate Park where kids would come.
Is that how you met Flat?
Yeah. So he was actually one of the media campers. He was like 12 years old. I still remember, like, out of all the kids I taught, I remember him the most. Like, his mum calling me before the camp started, checking in everything was okay. And
shout out Julie.
Yeah, shout out Julie.
Shout out Julie.
Legend. And I met so many amazing kids through that. Even Harry Tate, he's doing big things now.
So that's how him and Flat knew each other.
Yeah,
because Flat was always filming for him, like where he's at now. Did you say that, who was it?
NLE Chopper.
Yeah, the other day I was about to say Young Boy, but that was like, it's just nuts what he's done as well. Dude,
it was so crazy. So about a year ago, I met up with Harry. He needed help shooting a thing for Hungry Jacks. Yeah, he got paid. I'm not going to say the number, but like a ridiculous amount of money for that. I'm like, dude, you are killing. Like, I always knew that kid was going to be something.
But it's
like, you are killing it. And he goes, yeah, man, I'm about to go to America. And I've stayed in touch with him while he's been over there. And it's like knowing him since he was like 10 years old. Yeah. Like, I'm so proud of that kid. Like, what he does, people just look at it and they're like, oh, he's just dancing with glasses or whatever. But he's being completely vulnerable on the internet and putting himself out there and it's starting to pay off for him.
In real life.
And in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Dancing like that and like straight people
He's so much more than just a kid that dances, you know. He's such a talented kid, and he's gonna go super far. But I met all these like crazy kids, like even like obviously I was really good friends with Davis Hine, who I still work with today. He's a BMX rider, but now he's a really good photographer. And you had like Lewis Mills, who's like one of the best street BMX riders in the world now. Yeah, that's nuts. Noah Nief, who's skating Nike SB, and
that's sick.
April Skateboards for Shane O'Neill. And there's so many. There's something in the water at Monster, man. There's so many talented people. Even Jared, whose dad owns the park. Yeah, he's a Olympic medalist now and X Games medalist.
Crazy. Did he win? Was he won something at the recent Olympics? Was it?
No, it was the one before, I believe. Yeah. The recent Olympics, he got knocked out by another rider or something. But I can't remember if it's X Games gold and Olympic silver or Olympic gold, X Games silver. It's one of the two.
That's nuts.
And then obviously Willie's killing it too. He was always at Monster Camp back in the day. And
that's nuts. So with teaching, so you did that after you did the skating stuff. Yep. And now you've ended up working with some high-end people.
Yep.
How did that all come about? That come naturally, or did you put yourself in positions?
Man, it's so weird because this is gonna. Whenever I tell this story, it sounds weirder every time. But as a kid, like 11, 12, 13, all I ever wanted, like I hated school. I'd be walking home from school, and I just wanted the tour bus, like this, because I watched skate videos and stuff. I just wanted that tour van or bus or whatever to pull up and say we're going, and that's it. That was my vision every day from school. I'm like, one day this van's gonna pull up. And it was funny. It wasn't until I was in like year 10 or 11, but I'm not sure if you remember him, Terry Price. He was like the scooter goat of the UK. Yeah. He picked me up from school.
Really?
And, US dude Tyler Boner picked me up from school, and I was like, shit, all right. Yeah. Like, it wasn't exactly what I envisioned, but I'm like, damn, okay.
This is it.
And then once I got to that 21, 22-year-old stage, I started having a new vision. I'd accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish and more. And my next vision was, all right, how do I do music videos? How do I be on a movie set? Yeah. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't go to film school. I'm completely self-taught. And I'm like, how am I going to make this happen? Yeah. So I started working outside the box with bigger clients. Instead of just doing action sports clients, I'd go to high-end clients like Bose, for example, and bring them an action sports project. Yeah, so for people coming up, how did you put yourself in that position to work with Bose and like Intel and Klarna? It's just networking, man. Like, you've got to, like I tell all the young kids that work with me, first of all, you got to have a plan. Like, what's your goal? Yeah. And then you've got to work towards it. So someone like Bose, for example, you could do something as simple as going and get a pair of headphones and just practice making ads for them. You need to have a portfolio that you can take to them and say, this is what I can do. Yeah. And I already had that portfolio with the action sports stuff. So I kind of went to them like, all we got to do is add some headphones in. Yeah. And it was actually Darren from Monster that made that link for us. Yeah. And that's kind of where I took it to the next level. Yeah. But I was still like, all right, I love action sports, but I want something else as well. Yeah. I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket. So I started thinking, all right, music videos, films, how am I going to make this work? And then one of the kids that was at my camp, his dad was really close with Russell Crowe. Yeah. And when we finished the camp and I taught him some stuff, it was just a day thing. Yeah. His mum introduced me to Russell's producers. Yeah. And then I had some meetings and whatnot, and then I met Russell at a football game, and then
it's crazy.
They offered me a job, and it was so crazy though, because they offered me a job, and then they went and worked on a movie for 6 months, and I didn't hear anything. So I've gone home and said to my family, "Oh, getting this job at Russell Crowe's company." And
then 6 months goes by.
And then I hear nothing. Yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, okay." All my mates are like, "Yeah, all right, whatever." And then 6 months later, I get an email, and they're like, "We're so sorry. We've been working on The Water Diviner in Turkey. Can you come in tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." That was 7 years ago. I've been there.
Fuck.
For now.
So how's working with Russell been?
He's a legend. He's him and Keith. So Keith Roger is his producer. And, they've given me some insane opportunities. So it was kind of like, I don't know, like I worked hard to get there, but at the same time, I never expected that would be. Yeah. When I was envisioning music videos and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I'll meet some local guys. And then next thing you know, I'm working with like Wu-Tang Clan and with the Rabbitohs and all these huge clients. And, you know, Russell and Keith have both given me opportunities that I never, ever thought I would achieve.
It's crazy to think, like, you mentioned Russell Crowe as, like, the person who gave you the opportunity. Whereas, like, you mentioned all these other people, but I still hear Russell Crowe. I'm, like, still starstruck by, like, arguably our biggest acting export, or one of. Yeah. And, like, it's just crazy.
He's such a cool man. Like, I've traveled a bunch with him, and he's always looking after me. And, you know, every couple months, like, if he's away for a project, I'll get a text from him checking in. Hey, how you going? You're safe? You're well?
Like, that's mad.
And, no, man, I'm forever be in debt and grateful to what they've done for me. And
so you mentioned it before, Wu-Tang. Like, who else have you met? And meeting Wu-Tang, how was that for someone who's born in the 90s?
Bro, Wu-Tang was a wig out for me. I first met I met Rizza a couple times before I met the rest of them.
Yeah.
And no, it was such a cool experience. And I shot there. They had a show at Hordern Pavilion. I think it was like 2015 or 16.
Yeah, bro, I was working at Coles, and shout out Shannon. I don't know where he is, what he's doing. I used to work night shifts at Coles with this guy called Shannon, and he would have been like 28, 29 at the time. And he was the biggest Wu-Tang fan, and he was like freaking out when they came to Australia. So that would have been the exact same time.
Yeah.
Hey, Cammy.
And yeah, so I did that, and then that was like my first. It was pretty crazy. My first ever filming live performance thing was Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Like, I remember leaving the Hordern, I was like buzzing. I'm telling all my mates. Actually, one of my friends from school, shout out Hewan, he was in the crowd at the concert. And I was texting him like, he's like, is that you on stage? I'm like, yeah, man. I caught up with him. I hadn't seen him for a few years. He was one of the original scooter guys from school.
That's mad. Full circle moment.
Yeah, full circle moment. And then yeah, man. And then a couple years later, so we're talking like 2-3 years ago, before COVID, they did the Opera House shows. So I was a part of that.
That's what he went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mate Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, so that was that was unreal.
Yeah.
And then we had some like private recording sessions I was in on, and watching Rizzo work, man, watching all of them work was incredible. Method Man, all of them.
Yeah. Method Man's still got it.
Dude, he's still got it. You know who I found, like, obviously I'm out of all of them, I'm friendliest with Rizzo. I've worked with him a bunch of times now, so but the ones that I got along with the most were Master Killer, and Capadonna. Those dudes were like, they were cool. Like, some of them didn't necessarily want to be on camera that much, which I understand.
It's fair enough. Not
but Master Killer's like, no, man, bring that camera over here. I'll do whatever you want. Like, it's just such a cool,
that's sick.
Cool, chill dude.
Welcoming environment. Yeah.
And then besides them, there's, I've had the opportunity to meet a bunch of cool people, and as far as work-wise goes, a lot of athletes, obviously, and like Tony Hawk.
So we just mentioned a full circle moment. You mentioned earlier this podcast, you were talking about Tony Hawk, like being an inspiration. Meeting him, that's like another full circle moment for you, wasn't it?
Man, that was insane. So shout outs Hagen and Darren at Monstergram, but they're like, oh, we're going down to Melbourne to shoot the Formula 1. Tony Hawk's skating. I was like, no way. And this was maybe 2013, 14.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe he was going to be there until I saw him there. I was like, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah. Like, he's so famous.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Such a cool dude. Like, and he turned up, and just real nice, humble guy. Yeah. Shot a bunch of photos. I showed him some photos. He's like, that's sick. And I'm like, fuck. All right. Yeah. We're on here. Gave me a signed skateboard and stuff. And then I thought that would be it. I'm like, all right, that's that. Like, we're done.
That's cool, yeah.
And then Poppy Olsen, she's a really talented skater from Bondi. Yeah. A couple months after that.
She young?
Yeah. She's like
now she'd be a bit older. But
18,
when she
19 now.
She was young when she popped off, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
And maybe she's a bit older. Maybe she's 20. I'm not too sure. But I went to Cali with her. Yeah. And that was crazy. We went to the Vans Oceanside or Ocean Beach bowl contest, and like that's Steve Cab and all that were there. And then we went to Stant Socks Factory and hung out there for a bit. Yeah. And we ended up at Tony's private ramp, which was another moment. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, I think it's important, like my whole career, when something like that happens, I take a step back. Yeah. And I kind of, tune into young Nick in my head, and I go like, look, man, like, this is, and I think that's what's kept me going. Like, I'm grateful for all these opportunities, and like, I've accomplished them, so I'm like, I know I can accomplish anything I put my mind to. So
it's funny you say that, bro, because as you're sitting here and you're talking about like, all those skate park videos, I remember I used to make them with my mate Jack Prenez. If he's watching, he wasn't even respectfully, he wasn't that good. Now, he didn't really give a fuck. But we used to make videos, and like, and I'd model it on like what you were making. Yeah. And then now I sit here and like, exactly what you're saying. Like, you just keep working and you take a step back and realize like where you were as a kid. Like that, I remember 14-year-old me. I had no business being at a skate park, but I went there with my camera. Yeah. And now I'm sitting here and talking to you like, it's out there for everyone. If you envision it, it can become true.
And like Bomber and I talk about it all the time, but we literally manifest everything. Yeah. Like it's a real thing. Like, you tell yourself, I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Even like you have to believe it though. Like you can't say, oh yeah, I want to be a filmmaker. You say, I am a filmmaker. Like you have to be confident and really have a set destination. You don't need to know every step that you got to take to get there.
Yeah, it's going to just things are going to get in the way.
Things are going to get in the way. You got to defeat that wall of resistance. And I battle it every day, man. Like being a creative and being vulnerable with what you do, you kind of like think, oh, is this good enough? Like, even Harvey Dent, like ask Liam. We were at a shoot yesterday, and the video was going out, and I'm sitting there like 5 minutes before the video comes out. I'm like, man, have I done the right thing? Is everything good? Like, is it going to be all right? And then comes out, and everyone's stoked on it. Like, you got to get through that wall of resistance. And manifest what's next.
Yeah, shout out Mitchos.
Yeah,
that was mad bars, but music video too, bro.
Wait till you see what we got coming. That was nothing.
Yeah, shout out Flat for his great acting.
I might have to release some behind the scenes footage.
A bit of behind the scenes video of the bed incident. So, local projects, mentioning Mitchos and Harvey Dent. Mm-hmm. So you work with Bomber.
Yep.
People don't like those Bomber things that you do. Like, no matter how simple they are, I can't believe they look simple, but to me, I know like what goes in on it. Like, how's it feel making like local projects and stuff like that? Like,
man, that at the end of the day, like the reason I fell in love with filmmaking was like making something out of nothing, right? So a friend from school would come to me, I want a scooter video, and we had a camera and we had a scooter, and at the end of the day, we had this video that exists now, and it's like seeing the smile on their face was like
what makes
$1 million to me, you know what I mean? 110%. And at the end of the day, it's like all I want to do is have that feeling. I want to like when I make something for Bomber, and he likes to like he's understood now that I don't like to show things till they're finished. Yeah, and I'll show him, and I always like FaceTime him if I'm not with him when I send him something that I'm like stoked on. Yeah, and just see his reaction. Yeah, because that smile and laugh and holy fuck, this is sick is like.
Because to like Bombers are creative, but to someone who's not a creative in like your space, that is just like it's mesmerizing. I remember I went to the studio, and for everyone that knows Bombers content, he does the spinning shoot. Like, that's what you see. And I remember seeing how you actually do that, and I couldn't like comprehend how like it gets put together. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing about that is I always forget that to people that aren't filmmakers or aren't in my space. That
how impressive it is.
Yeah. And I've recently started a thing called Self-Taught Shooter. Yeah. Where I'm going to start.
Help me.
Yeah. I'm going to start helping people because like something that's as simple like, you know, making this glass float around. Yeah. To me, that's a piece of piss, but that's because I've been doing it for so long.
I don't know where to start. Yeah.
Yeah, but to the fact that you know, to other people that's very valuable. Yeah. That has flicked a switch in my head. Like I can give it back here. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like going back to your question about local talent, we started the 2-7 project about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and we've had the studio for about a year now. Yeah. And we're growing out of that and gonna look for a new one soon. But the reason I started filmmaking was to see the smile on my friends' faces, and then there's so much, as I said about Monster before, but there's something in the water in Western Sydney. We've got some of the most talented athletes in the world live here. Like you've got the footy boys, you've got Olympians, you've got Bam Bam, of course.
And Tyson as well. Jacob Malkin as well.
You've got, even Mick Fanning is from Penrith. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. Like, wasn't he like born here and then like when he was young he hit the beaches?
Yeah, he like travelled to the beaches.
Yeah. He won recently, didn't he? At 49?
Yeah. I edited a documentary that he was a part of recently, and it was really cool. Yeah. That was on National Geographic.
Yeah, that's sick.
Save This Shark, it's called. I was assistant editor. But there's so much happening here, and like back in the day, like when I turn up to skate parks and stuff like that, I'd be wearing Air Maxes and dressing straight out of Penrith, and people would be like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" And everyone now this whole new wave is West Sydney, and I'll be the first to admit, back in the day I was embarrassed when people asked me where I'm from. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, Penrith," and they're like, "Oh, okay, you're Westie," and take the piss out of you. But this whole wave, like, it's hard not to be proud of where you're from right now.
Right. And when it comes to like sport, like even if you go to sport, you go to UFC, and you go to like NRL, and we've produced like the best young generational team in the
Exactly.
NRL in a long time. UFC, we got Pedro, Bam Bam, Volkanovski. Oh, well, Volkanovski's a bit more that way, but like Jacob Malkoon as well, who's the Panthers wrestling coach. Like he's there now. And then like on the creative side, we have brands. We have like yourself. We have Bomber. Like we have it
1-4. We have
music.
Section 60. We have Menace.
It's crazy, bro.
And man, I think the coolest thing is that everyone just wants to, like FTA and 27 Project. We have this thing that we post Forever 27 and Better Together, because the coolest thing about this movement is everyone wants to be a part of each other's success. So like, you know, I shoot stuff at FTA, and then FTA is sharing the stuff that Bomber and I are doing, and then Bomber's doing collaborations with Luai and Bizzo and stuff like that, and then it's a full circle. Everyone's helping each other out. And
good example of that is I think his name's Chubbs, does the shoe cleaning.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people show love because they see a kid really wants to take something on.
Chubbs comes through the studio all the time. He texts me a couple of days ago. He's like, bro, can I get some advice about this and that? And he's to see that kid grinding, and at the end of the day, like cleaning sneakers isn't the most, you know,
it's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous. So for him to be like, no, this is what I'm gonna do. And the whole area to get behind him is inspiring. Like, and that kid like is got a good head on his shoulders, and he has his visions. He knows what he wants, and I have no doubt he's gonna get there.
Yeah, it's sick. I've just watched him. I think Bomber may have been the first person, or a footy player. One of them was the first person to post him. I've followed him, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people, and then watching to where he's like is now, and then the clientele he has just baffles me.
He has a lineup of people waiting for him to clean their shoes, and he's making bank off it. Like, good on that kid, man.
Yeah, it's spot a market.
Such a good kid.
Talked about Tony Hawk. Now to our next level. Like, how did you scale to where you are now? Like, natural progression type of thing, or?
I think like breaking it down, it was kind of like the stuff with Russell happened, and still like, although I worked hard to get there, in the back of my head I'm like, I'm just lucky. Like, I'm lucky to be here. I'm grateful to be here. And it wasn't until like a couple years back where I was like, okay, I've been in all these opportunities, but I've been winging it the whole time. So I really like when I started, about the time I started working with Menace is when I started almost taking it seriously, I guess. I was like, all right, I need to master this craft. I never went to film school, so I'm going to take it back to day one, and I'm going to learn everything again. So I started doing a couple online film courses to directors I looked up at, and started learning about lighting properly. And, you know, filming scooters isn't necessarily something that I use the rule of film with. So like shutter speed and stuff never really mattered to me. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down this path. I learned about, you know, shutter angle and what proper settings I have cameras on and all this kind of stuff, and really like stripped everything back. And I think that's when I leveled up as a creative. And
getting down the fine details of every shot.
And being around Russell and Keith for so long, I've kind of learnt a lot about the business side as well. So I was like, okay, I know this and I know that. How do I make it my own? Because I think that's something that's super important about being a creative. Is it's good to know it, but you need to have your own way of doing it too. Your own style, your own packages, etc. So I kind of created this new, I guess, matured version of NickehFilms. So like, you go back and look at my old stuff, it's all skatepark stuff. You look at my new stuff, it's streetwear, music videos, stuff that I find really cool to work on these days. And
what was the first music video you did?
The first one I did was for my friend Juliana, which was this crazy astronaut vibe. And that was cool. But the first, like, the next one I did, which was like the first one I did by myself, was Growing Up in the West by Curvy. And then Menace and I were talking about doing North Face Killer from that. And then it's so funny though, because at the time, and this is how I know I'm progressing, at the time I was like, these videos are so good, and now I look at them and just cringe. Like cringe. And I think that's the best part about doing what we're doing, is the constant progression. Like, I put out Harvey Dent yesterday, and I think it's okay, but I know in a year I'm gonna look at that. I've been looking at it too much, you know. I know in a year I'm gonna look at it and be like, that's fucking terrible. And 100%. That's what I'm excited for, like seeing where I'm gonna be then. But in terms of like getting to where I am, it's just been the key things have been education, so teaching myself, teaching others, finding ways to still fall in love with filmmaking every day.
Yeah.
So switching it up, working with friends, that's a major thing.
Is that what's good about having Bomber so close?
Yeah,
Did you get
having Bomber, Setter, and obviously I got the youngins like Cameron and Liam and J-Mac, and passing what I've learned onto them has been really cool, and seeing them do their own things and that
it's probably the most powerful thing is passing knowledge on, because
definitely,
and you never know what's going to happen. So
supporting someone else's success isn't going to take anything away from your own.
No way.
And I think that's what people are so uptight about. Like I give away so many of my. I give the boys equipment. I give them my presets. I give them everything. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I know their work's still going to be different to mine. Like
everyone's got their vision.
Exactly. And then so obviously education, networking is the biggest thing, and creating your own style. So like, for example, in a lot of my stuff, you'll see the last year or so I do a lot of punch hole transitions, and I've been incorporating stills with effects and
seen that,
kind of figuring out like my own thing, and I've been doing that for a minute now, so I'll probably try something else over the next few years. And then and just the biggest thing as well is not being a dickhead. Like, the industry is too small. If you're a dickhead to one person, everyone else is going to find out eventually. And
even for like just people I've met, like, you'll know about when someone's just a prick, really.
Exactly. And like, if I don't really I try not to, like, brag or anything about what I'm doing. Like, even like the Russell stuff, most people don't know about that. I don't post it anywhere. I don't talk about it.
I only know it because this kid.
I find that that's the best way to do it. Like, as corny and cliche as it is, just work hard in silence and let your work do the talking.
110%. So like with music and stuff like that, you've done the music, which is like your local projects, but when it came to working with Setter, Bomber, and you've done a few other things, like the Klarna ad, which I personally think, so when we met Bomber, I don't think you were at the studio that day, when we first met Bomber. So when we first met Bomber, he told me about football. And then I was like, and then I seen the Klarna ad. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, you probably still got it. But that Klarna ad was sick. But like doing those things with like the more local people, how do you, like, is that you do that because you love of filmmaking, or is it just keep you going type of thing?
At the end of the day, as I said before, I like doing stuff with my friends. So that Klarna thing, for example, I could have like gone and reached out to, someone bigger and done something cool, but I think it's so cool, like the fact that Bomber has this talent, and so many of my friends, man, they just have the most random talents. Like, I'm so grateful to be in the circle that I'm in.
Someone messaged me about Bombers football, saying they remember like him being a kid that was over in UK.
Man, he's like, even people like, I ran into a friend, James, from back in the skate park days, James Bowman, and he's like, oh, I saw you walking with Johnny Marshall. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, fuck, I thought he was going to be like some pro footballer or something. I'm like, yeah, man. But it's cool. Like, if I can, and you'll see in like a lot of my bigger ads, Desky and Klarna and Intel and Razer and KFC and Arnott's and all these big companies I've worked with, it's all my friends in the ads. Because at the end of the day, I like making videos with my friends, and two, I love that feeling where like, Bomber's sister or brother would be like, I swear I just saw Johnny in an ad for Klarna. I'm like, that was him. Like, that's sick. I think it's cooler to see someone that you recognize locally in an ad than a celebrity or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit of homage to it type of thing.
Yeah, and they all love it. Like, Bomber loves being a part of it. All the boys, they're always like, oh, maybe. And then they're on set and like, no, they like it.
So with 2 separate projects, how'd you meet Kyle? How'd you meet Bomber?
So Bomber, I met through Zilla. Yeah. And he knocked on my door one day, and we spoke about it before. He knocked on my door, and literally as soon as I opened the door, we just started chatting, and we clicked. Yeah. Clicked first day. It's a bit of a weird spiritual thing that we got going on, but in projects that are like really close to my heart, I always include a butterfly in there. Yeah. And the reason I do that is my grandmother owned a butterfly museum. And just as like a personal motif
Yeah.
to her and to me,
Awesome.
I always include a butterfly. And God bless her soul, Bomber's mother passed away before we met.
Yeah.
And he went and spoke to someone about it, and they told him that his mother will communicate to him via butterflies.
Yeah.
So I'm telling him about this thing, how I include butterflies in my projects.
Yeah.
And then he like nearly cried, and I'm like, what's up? And he told me, and I was like, what the fuck? And then
it's crazy.
It's crazy how much has happened involving butterflies since. Like, I remember when we shot No Good For You for Menace and LDS, I was stressing about the music video. We had no budget and nothing was going right the day of. And then I'm driving back home to meet up with Bomber before we shoot, and a butterfly flew across my car, and it was almost like, all right, no, we're sweet. And like, we have all these little moments, and you know, we clicked from that day talking about that stuff, and we've been inseparable since. Yeah. And then Kyle, we got some heavy rain happening.
Yeah.
Kyle I met through Seta. He messaged me about some camera advice. Yeah. And I was so busy I forgot to reply. Yeah. And a couple months later, Bomber brought up his name, and I went, oh shit, I never replied to that guy. Yeah. And we linked and we shot a few things, and then he was like the missing piece to the puzzle for us with 2-7 Project. Yeah. And then later on, Kyle introduced us to Chris Scanlon, who does FTA with Bam Bam. Yeah. And Bomber already knew Bam Bam from school.
FTA is going to take over the world.
100%. Yeah. And Chris was like the extra piece to the puzzle we didn't know we needed. Yeah. But we're grateful to have. That guy just brings the energy.
Very creative, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. He did, like, I seen him done the prints and stuff.
Oh, that's Oz. That's Oz. His cousin.
Right. So they're two different.
Yeah, they're all a part. Like, we're all a part of each other's stuff, and I love those boys dearly. They're good boys.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, we Kyle. Said it before I say it again. Headshots, bro. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. I actually, you know what's funny? Jackson Bartlett was like kind of like sponsored by Headshots, I guess you could say. And I shot some stuff for them years ago. And sent it to Kyle, who I didn't put 2 and 2 together on. Yeah. And then when I met him about Saturday, he started talking about Headshots. I'm like, did you ever give hats to Jackson Bartlett? And he's like, yeah, I know Jackson. And I'm like, again, full circle moment. Like, it's
crazy. Yeah, when I met Kyle, he came up to me and introduced himself, and then I was standing there. And then I just kind of like turned around. I was like, oh, fuck, you going Headshots. And I just remember like seeing like, I think it was Scott Prince back in the day, like some of these like at the touch footy things, like these people rock that.
Bro, there's videos of skaters at the barracks wearing Headshots.
Yeah, that's like, nuts. It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's
that
crazy.
Dude's so he's very like us. Like everything needs to be perfect with him, which is we're all like that at the 2-7 Project. It's a gift and a curse, but at the end of the day, his products are so good.
Yeah, I think Seta's can be massive.
Yeah, of course, no doubt, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and Kyle, if you're listening, do a pop-up shop. I'll work for you for free, bro. That'd be.
We actually have a really cool idea. I won't give it away yet, but we got something in the works. Yeah, which I think is going to help him take it to the next level.
So, with all of this included, working with Bose, working with Russell Crowe, blah 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 blah. Scoot, call shots. Are those your favourite things you've done? Like, what's your favourite thing you've done?
Like in the scooter space or my whole career?
Whole career. What's your favourite piece of work you put out? Or is it normally, like you said before, just...
It's whatever the latest thing I put out usually because it's fresh and I look back. But I think the thing I hear most about, I hear more about, like, especially from the scooter stuff, is the East Coast tour videos.
Yeah, really?
They're what I hear about the most, and people always messaging me like, or like I'm still logged into the NickehFilms YouTube channel even though I don't use it anymore. Yeah. I get the notifications. I'd say like every other day there's someone commenting on one of those videos saying, "Man, come here for some nostalgia." Yeah. The fact that I made a scooter video with my friends 10 years ago and people are still going to watch it to get some nostalgia is the biggest win for me. But in terms of work that I'm proud of, I don't know. I'm very hard on myself with my work. Like I always have this like resistance that I'm battling in my head about is this good enough and whatnot, and something I'm still trying to work on.
You're a perfectionist?
I'm massive, man. Yeah. Like even like I won't charge people if
You don't feel like
if
you've
I
done what you could.
don't feel like I've done what I could. Like people ask me, where's your invoice? And I'm like, I'm not going to send you one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stoked on this. And, you know, something I'm going to have to work on. I'm learning not to be too attached to every project I do. I think that's my biggest curse with this stuff is like, let's say Bomber, for example. I treat Bomber sneakers as if that's my business, you know? And Setter, I treat Setter as if it's my business.
Yeah.
And
funny you say that because he does the same. Like, you taught him. Like, he takes Helos. Like, he'll message me when he thinks something's not right. Like,
exactly. And it's all well and good until you, in your head, own 50 businesses and you're trying to balance everything. So I really got to work on that. And I don't know, man. If you ask me right now what my proudest thing I've put out is, it's probably going to be a Harvey Dent because I released it yesterday. I'm not sick of it yet.
Yeah.
But the next one, it's always going to be the next one that I'm proud of the most. And I'm excited for the next one. So.
Yeah. Bro, you know how I found it? Tom, you'll know this. Remember JD Bugs Are Cool by Jacob Field? That's how I found Nickeh. So our mate, Jacob, he's got like Royce King would know him. Like he was local at Glenbrook Skate Park. Yeah. And he put out a video called JD Bugs Are Cool where they were riding around on JD Bugs at their house. And that got like 15,000 views, which is like we talked about before. Like it was pretty big. And then I was like, oh, like I like skate park stuff. And then I got into it. And then, I remember finding your stuff and like, it's just crazy. Like I remember seeing your first few things. I can't remember the first video I watched. And then I went back yesterday. I was doing my research and I had the YouTube up. And I was watching videos and I was remembering the first time I watched them. Like I was looking back on them. Cool, man. And I was Chris Ha, is that his name? I remember watching like him back in the day. Wazza was the guy that took my attention as an entertainer. Yeah, as well. He's always been. And then the other day, like full circle moment, he commented on the Helos video. Yeah, and I was like, "Fuck, like that's just sick." Like, used to look up to this bloke.
I think the reason that and I'm not saying this is my fault because those boys made my videos as entertaining as I did. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're all in it together. But I think the reason we made such a wave was, especially when I was a kid, man, there wasn't a whole lot of creativity coming out of Western Sydney. Nothing. We had some talented graffiti artists and stuff like that, but prime example at high school, there was nothing. We had a photography class, but there was nothing about filmmaking, nothing about video or anything like that. And I remember always having this voice in the back of my head going, "All right, you want to be a filmmaker, but you come from here," and like it goes to show that you can be the first to do something. Yeah. Like I was, I think probably the first out in Western Sydney to be making these videos and putting them on the internet. And then I didn't realize until like I'm sitting at a table with some heavy hitters and questioning why I'm there. Yeah. And I'm going, oh no, fuck, like we have done some cool shit. Yeah, yeah. Like sick. I think if you add up all the views on my channel, the Mad Gear videos I did, the videos I've done on Ryan Williams' channel, there's probably over 50 million views sitting there.
Do you still get the ad thing coming through?
Like revenue? Yeah. Yeah, but it's not a whole lot.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But
I had it turned off for a couple of years. I should have left it on.
Yeah, really.
But it's nice. Like back in the day, it was a couple thousand a month or whatever, which was when you're a young kid, a couple $1,000 a month is hectic.
You'd never worked like a traditional job, hey?
No. I worked at my grandma worked in a uniform shop. Yeah. And I worked there for a couple of years. Yeah. And then I worked at Scooter Hut for a little bit. Yeah. When I was kind of, So when I left Mad Gear, in between Mad Gear and Russell, I was doing my own stuff freelance, but I wanted some consistency. Yeah. So I did a couple shifts at Scooter Hut a week. Yeah. Which was cool because I still got to link with all the boys and
do your thing.
Do my thing.
Yeah. It's hardly a job when you enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Fucking hell. So with we touched on it before, but like filmmaking. When you were looking up, like, this is what people don't realize. Western Sydney, like, looking up, I remember as a kid, my dad really could only point to, like, Tim Cahill as, like, the guy who did it. But now, like, when you look around, they like, the kids now, they have so many, like, avenues. It's just crazy for me to, like, sit there and see music is a complete avenue. Like, we're in a space right now. Yep. And there's brands out doing it. Like, the Western Sydney, we have brands, but, like, even Sydney at larger scale, like, some of the brands that come out there. And then like filmmaking and stuff, like it's just crazy to see where we're at. But for the kids who are watching or listening, what's like your biggest advice for a creative?
Damn. I guess so I'm going off the fly here, but for me in school, it'd be so easy for me to say, like, you know, don't let people's opinions get to you.
Yeah.
But you're a human being; they're gonna get to you.
Yeah.
And I know they got to me because I still remember the times in high school that kids picked on me or whatever. And I'm not saying I was bullied to the point of I hated my life or anything like that. But there were some comments that hurt me.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first ever Mad Gear Pro that got sent to me. I took it to school the next day and everyone was just ripping on me as I was walking it down to the bike tracks. And I'm like, man, this kind of sucked. And I still remember people in roll call like tapping me. And in fact, I remember the one time.
It's crazy to look back on that,
bro.
See where you're at because of those things.
And I remember this one kid that I'm friends with tapped me on the back. And this kind of and shout out to him. I won't mention his name, but it kind of like helped me a little bit. I remember he tapped me on the back in roll call one day and I turned around, I'm like, yeah, what, expecting someone to give me shit.
Yeah.
And he goes, you actually make scooters look cool, man. And I was like, oh, thanks, dude. Like, but anything you do like that, anything that's outside the norm, if like, I guarantee 15, like year 10 maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're at our year 10 careers thing and we had a career advisor up there and she said, all right, Falky, what do you want to do when you leave school? And you go, I want to be a construction worker.
Yeah.
Everyone in the class would be like, yeah, sick.
Yeah.
And then someone pointed at me and said, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to film scooters. I guarantee everyone would have been like, you're a dickhead. Or laughed at me or whatever. But anything you do that's outside the norm, and that's no hate to construction workers or tradies or anything like that, but you got to be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, people are going to
110%.
They're going to be pissed that they're not following their dreams, or they're going to be like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And people are going to give you shit. But at the end of the day, like, some of those people that gave me shit in school, I see now and they go, is it true you work for Russell Crowe now? How did you get that? I'm like, through filming scooters, man. Like you got to be vulnerable to achieve some of these dreams, but just try your best not to let people bring you down for it. And if it doesn't exist yet, there's no reason that you can't be the first person to make it exist.
110%.
Like, there's a career, you know, for everyone. And
that's what I spotted with this, bro. I spotted there's not a consistent podcast based in Sydney.
Exactly.
That like covers like this type of area of culture type of thing. And I was just like, I'm going to fucking do it. Give it 100 episodes, 200 episodes.
And you know what, bro? Imagine if you said that to someone a year ago and they'd be like, yeah, the reason it doesn't exist yet is because there's no reason for it to exist. Yeah. Same thing as what I did. Like, if I told people I was filming scooters, what are you filming scooters for? Yeah. Now, obviously, I don't film scooters anymore, but like, some of the, like...
Do you ever think you'll do like a reunion?
Dude, you know what? I got a DM from Tanner Fox the other day.
Bullshit.
And he said,
I can't remember him.
Yeah, because he was a young'un I met like a few years ago, and he goes, I'd love to do a video with you sometime this year, like for the old time's sake. Yeah. And I was thinking about it, I'm like,
Did you film with him back in the day?
Yeah.
Tanner Fox?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And I filmed him in Sydney and I filmed him in California. Yeah. When I was staying with Raymond Warner one time. But I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like I think, and I still do bits and pieces with Ryan Williams. Yeah. And like I link up, if I got some gear I want to test, I often link up with Cody and Jay Bartz. But it's all for fun these days, you know. Just have a laugh.
I think it'd be sick, bro, to do one last like game of Scoot of all the guys you initially filmed. Yeah. And like some of the heavy hitters that you know now. And just, I reckon they'd pop off.
Dude, I'd love to do an East Coast tour 3.
Yeah,
and
really.
Get all the boys involved. I think that would, and it'd be mad. Like the way I see it happening though is it would be like all 25-year-olds coming down to the skate park just for a bit of nostalgia. Yeah. And I guarantee we'd just end up at whatever the local pub is. Yeah. Probably an hour or two at the skate park.
And then sinking. Yeah.
But no, man. Like I'd love, like, at the end of the day, I've still got that little Nick inside me that's excited about everything, and and I know that he would be fucking stoked to see where I am now. And,
that's sick.
But I also know that he'd be like, why aren't you down at the skate park getting some footage? And
it's crazy to see where he ended up, bro. From skate park in North Richmond to film for Russell Crowe, meeting Tony Hawk.
Honestly, I feel like I'm only just getting started too. Yeah. So I don't mean that in a cocky way or anything like that, but I feel like if I've gotten this far by this age, then I still got a long way to go, and I'm hungrier than ever, and I'm learning more, and I feel like I'm really starting to finally get my own image and my own style with everything.
110%. Yeah, I feel like you've branched into like a proper like NickehFilms, and when you go on your page, like there's such a variety of things to watch and like see, and it's good to see like that. We speak about it with artists all the time, like versatility. which is like key in being so successful, especially like around here.
Definitely, man. And that's why it's so cool. Like in the West, like as we've been saying this whole podcast, you got athletes, you got musicians, you got designers, you got, you know.
So for creatives like you coming up, like filmmakers, like whatever it may be, there's so like photographers and filmmakers especially, so many different things they can do. Yeah, which is like I think it's the coolest thing in the world. Like
definitely, and you know what, like if you got a mate that is starting a clothing brand or just like you and Cameron or me and Seta, whatever it is, like, and you're a creative, like work with them. Like you never know, your friend could be sitting on the next Supreme or whatever, and you could be the guy that's and that's the biggest advice. Like you don't have to be working with big brands to be successful.
110%.
And I guarantee you, like when you get older, the satisfaction of helping your friends grow a business together will be way more, you know, rewarding to you than doing a shoot for Nike or something like that.
Yeah, 110%. Yeah, even like today, just bringing these two boys here and then getting to meet Marvs and meeting you as well. Like just that's
proper gentleman, Marvs too. It's first time I met him.
Marvs.
Legend.
If you haven't heard of Marvs already, go look him up. But yeah, like, and I've got some of my mates to meet some of the people I've met, and that's just been like heaps cool for me to like introduce them on. But yeah, I think that's like the most rewarding feeling is.
Oh man, I love taking my mates to stuff like that.
Who's the? So say like one of your friends from growing up. Who's the biggest shock that they've met type of thing? Like, have you introduced one of them to like Russell or something like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've introduced some people to Russell. Trying to think, like, I took it was pretty funny. One of my best mates. So I got like Bomber and Jackson. They're like my two. Like Bomber's obviously new, and then Jackson's like he was the one kid in school. It's like one of the few kids in school that was like day one supporter. And I took him to the a Rabbitohs game one time where I had to film something on the field, and he loves his Australian sports and his Australian celebrities, and you know, Paul Gallen walks out and he's like, "Hey Nick, mate, how you going?" Shakes my hand and shakes Jackson's hand, and you know, the Burgess boys walk out and give me the nod and that, and Jackson's there like, he's loving life. Like when you get those opportunities, like, because I take that for granted, to be honest. Like I'm kind of around that stuff all the time, and not that I take it for granted, but it's like almost
even before when you mentioned, like you just mentioned some of the Burgess brothers, like Tom sitting here as a Rabbitohs fan, like seeing his face. I
love all the Burgess boys, Tom and George, and Sam and I have become good mates over the last few months, and I've just been working on a feature film behind the scenes, and Sammy was around on set a lot. So
that's mad. He'd kill it in a film.
Oh man, he's another talented dude. It's kind of cool. One of those moments that I had where I've been like, whoa, was on the film, and I don't want to talk too much about the movie because I don't know what's public and what's not yet. But there was a night in particular where I watched a Rabbitohs game with Russell and Sam and the other lead actor in the film. Yeah, and we had a barbecue. And Russell texted me that day and he's like, "Oh, come up for a barbecue." And I'm like, "Yeah, sweet." And I got there and it was just like us. And I'm like, "Oh, where's everyone else?" And he's like, "No, it's just you guys." Yeah. And that was a moment where I'm like, I'm sitting there eating with these guys and I'm like, shit, like, that's mad. This is cool.
Were you at the Rabbitohs when Sammy Burgess took that run at Sunny Bill?
No, that was pre-me, I think. I think that was like 2014 or something.
That was massive. Yeah.
Oh, no, he took her on at James Graham, but there is a hit from Sunny Bill.
Sunny Bill comes on for Roosters, first game back. Sam Burgess gets the ball for kick-off and sprints straight at Sunny Bill. Yeah, that would have been nuts.
I'll tell you something Sammy told me too, which I think is cool. I was sending, like, I was taking the piss. We've been from West Sydney with Sammy. And he was throwing up like 2770 and 2760 with his fingers and that. Every time he saw me, he does a 2770, and then we're just like mucking around in that. And then I was like, for real though, like, what do you think of the Panthers boys? Like, I'd be interested to know, like, what do you think of Kles? Yeah. And he goes, man, the first time I ever faced Kles, I gave him everything I had. Like, he was a young kid. I knocked him about the whole game, and he got up every time. And he goes, I knew that kid was going to be something special. Like, for him to take proper hits from me and then get up, like,
built like brick shit out, Sammy Burgess.
Man, Sammy loves the West, but he loves all the boys.
He seems like he'd fit in.
Yeah. He always tells me he's half Polynesian.
Yeah. Right, he'd fit in. with like you just mentioned, Cles. What's it been like working with the Panthers boys, especially since they've done in 2020 onwards?
Oh man, they're also cool. Like, obviously Luai, he supports everything that we do with the Even like I was scrolling through my self-taught shooter stuff. I only have like 250 followers on there because I've only just started it. But he was like liking my reels on self-taught shooter. He always replies to my stories. And
that's sick.
Those boys, I think, have done so much for the area between them and Bam Bam and 1-4. Like they've really shown kids from the area that they can be something, which I think is, not something that money can buy. That's determination, and I wouldn't say sacrifice, but more investing in their futures. And like I think
the biggest thing, and you mentioned it before, like growing up, like being a Westie was like frowned upon essentially. But like they've shown everyone around here, like take pride in where you're from.
100%.
Like more than anything in this world.
That's so powerful, man. Even like so Mitch Kenny, I've known him for years.
He's gone.
I don't think you'd see him they've probably been pulled down off the internet these days, but there were old videos of us at the skate park together. And you got Sony Luke, who just signed an NRL contract. We shoot
Model
with him.
Seta, didn't he?
He models for Seta. He's such a good dude. And then Bizarre, legend. Like we dropped him a care package last year when he made the Blues, and he was sharing that and follows us all. And there's so many good dudes.
Seen Spencer was in the thing.
Yeah,
he's my favourite to watch because he's an animal on the
Spencer
pitch.
And Critter, like you know what? I don't know if it's like a Samoan thing or a Polynesian thing or whatever, but they're all so fucking polite. They're all proper gentlemen. Like, would do anything for the area, love the area. And that's a West Sydney thing, but with those boys, it's like a whole nother level of it,
take pride in where they're from.
But, really good dudes.
One last thing. Your advice, one lesson or piece of advice you can give to young kids growing up in Western Sydney right now.
In Western Sydney? Find out what it is. It might not be an overnight process. It might take you some time, but find what it is that you're truly passionate about and at least give it a proper crack. Don't just look at it and go, like clothing brand, for example. I've had people ask me about starting clothing brands. Not that I'm got a clothing brand, but I've worked with so many of you guys. And I'm like, you got to get a logo. You got to find samples. You got to do this. You got to do that. People go, it's too hard. Like, give it a proper crack. It might not, and don't think about the money too. Like, don't think, I want to start a clothing brand to make money. Figure out what it is that you're passionate about. It could be footy, it could be rapping, it could be filmmaking, it could be producing, it could be whatever. And give it a proper crack. Get yourself a solid circle. Don't have friends that put you down for trying something different. Because what's that quote? You're the average of the 5 people you hang around most. And I hang around Bomber, Seta, Chris, all these boys, and they're all supportive. Get yourself a proper circle, give it a solid go, and I guarantee that you'll surprise yourself.
Awesome. So people watching, where can they find you? NickehFilms on Instagram? Self-taught shooter as well.
Self-taught shooter if you want to learn a thing or two. I'm pretty busy at the moment. I've got 2 more weeks on this feature film, and then I'll be back onto self-taught shooter, and I've got big plans with that. And then 2-7 project. That's the main one.
That's going to be big.
We got some big plans. And you'll be involved, I'm sure.
And then also the other one, if you go watch Harvey Dent by Michos if you want to see Nickeh's work at its finest. And Cameron's acting. He's probably going to get an Oscar for that one. Wait till you see the BTS. I had to calm him down a little bit. He was going for I don't know what he was going for. This podcast brought to you by A-List Co. A-List Co on Instagram, online, TikTok, Facebook. Thank you for coming on, Nickeh. I appreciate it, man. And I'm sure you'll be back with the 2-7 Project boys soon. I'll be back. Yeah, awesome.